Hi, I'm Edwin Proper from Proper Growth, and the next speaker from the 2025 summit is Clifford. She talks about the people first journey. Initially, lean was being done to the people, but when she shifted the focus to culture and people, everything changed. She also talks about how she was the bottleneck to the growth of the company. So check it out, this is a great talk.
So my name is Clifford, I'm from Ireland. I just want to say a very special thank you to Pablo and Juan and all the Scarpati team. Amazing what you've done. To Mr. Paul Akers for giving me this invitation and challenge, and to our Japanese sensei. Thank you. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about our journey at ATC in Shannon, County Clare in Ireland. It's very much a people-first journey. For a long time, I think I've been looking for a way to see how we can get the best from our people as opposed to the most. There's a little distinction there. And I guess for me, if I think about what I want my legacy to be, it's really about how I can leave those that I come in contact with better than I met them. So if I can inspire as well, a little bit like Phil, then I'll be very happy. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my journey. This is just to share our journey at ATC, and in particular our 2-second lean journey. And what that journey has showed me over the last, particularly 18 months, is that lean is much more than tools and processes. It's really first and foremost about the people, their behaviours, and the culture that we try to develop in all of our organisations. So in 2023, I discovered on something that seemed really simple, almost too simple, 2-second lean. And what happened there was in February of that year, my operations director said to me, oh, there's this company up in CE Matters, up in Northern Ireland. It's only 5 hours from here. Could we go and visit? And I'm very curious. I always am looking for better ways to do things. So we headed off and we visited Seating Matters, and I was absolutely blown away. The engagement of the people, the pride in their eyes, it was just so palpable. And I just said, that's what I want to create. That's what I really want to emulate back home. On that trip, we also had our production manager. And I remember sitting back into the car, and he kind of said, it's like a cult. And he said, we could never do that at ATC. And it kind of took me back a bit, and I went, oh, couldn't we? Why not? But so we took some little bits back to ATC. We'd been doing what I call corporate lean for many years. But so we were training green belts, even a black belt, A3s. But if I'm very honest, lean was something that happened around people. It didn't engage them. It didn't happen with them. And we were looking for something more. So we had been doing 5S, way too complex for us. So we brought it back to 3S. But if I'm very, very honest, I still wasn't brave enough to start a morning meeting. I think the remark, now that I reflect on it, from my production manager threw me. So I, as a leader, wasn't brave enough to start. But very luckily for me, I was invited to the 2-second lean summit later that year in Limavady. And at that summit, I came to the realization that the only thing holding us back was me. I needed to be brave enough to step forward and lead. So we took our steps from there. Otherwise, if I wasn't going to do it, I was going to have a huge amount of wasted human potential back at ATC. And I was not going to achieve the ambitions or the vision that we had. And that really would be on me. And it certainly wouldn't be leaving people better than I found them or met them. So we began, and like most of you will be familiar with a lot of this. We put our own little framework together. So very much we created our kata, our routines, And we got very, very intentional with our language. I'm a big believer in strong communication and the need to reinforce and repeat again and again and again. So when we communicate, it's very much more about than just relaying a message. It's about how can we connect, how can we align. So we repeat, we reinforce every day. And of course our kata, whether it's our 3S, or sharing of our improvements, etc. And we tweak as we need to. Right now, our Yoga 10 is all about stop and fix it. And part of our framework, and don't even try to read this, that's not the point of it, but part of our framework is this, it's our behavioural standards. So we've defined very clearly what we want from our people, and it allows us to have very candid conversations. So when we talk about, let's say, teamwork, we describe in detail what a high or a solid looks like. We obviously don't want to be talking about what's down here, and if we are, there's a different issue. But this allows us to now hire much more carefully when we sit with our people to look at what their visions are for the next 12 months. We talk about these and we see where they're at. But also if during the week or the day there's something that's not quite right, it allows us to have a candid conversation. There's no ambiguity, and it's not my perception or my subjectivity around a particular behaviour. I'm just going to play a very short video. This is Edel. She joined us in January. She works on a 3-day basis, and she's our continuous improvement manager. And we had the privilege of getting Ryan to visit us last May. And this was just a little bit of a video from that about the behavioural standards to give you an idea.
Do you actually have a standard for how to behave?
Absolutely.
I've never seen that before.
Neither have I. It's incredible, and you're trying to teach people to leave things better than they found it and have respect for each other. But actually, you need to measure people against those things, and having a standard that aligns with your appraisal system, you know, your one-to-ones, and you're speaking the same language, talking about that standard all the time, and you're bringing it back to that every time.
And it's so clear because it's up on the wall. It's the first thing I seen when I walked in. We just come in the front door, and this is the first thing I noticed was this big board. But then I went straight to here and I noticed behavioural standards.
We were looking for a way that we could engage with our people, and how when we talk about excellence, we all know what we mean by a high level and a solid level. We obviously don't want to talk about the lows, but so everyone is on the same footing.
All the things I've seen today at ATC, this is their superpower. This drilling into the detail of behavioural standards is the thing that you're really good.
That just gives you a little bit of an insight into that, sorry. And for me, I love analogies and metaphors, and one of the things I often reflect upon is how challenging it can be to build a great culture. And something I came across a few years ago was this idea of how bamboo, for so long, it takes a lot of patience, a lot of cultivating and caring for and watering, and it can take years for it to actually start to sprout, but once it does, then it's just magical. And I feel that that's a little bit like what has happened at ATC. And again, I'd like to just play the really 2 very short little videos of some of the guys at ATC and the pride in them when they talk about their improvements.
To move this unit to a different location, I'll use unscrews and replace it in the other position. An improvement on improvement, all of improvement.
Fantastic, Mike. So, Mike, we were putting floor labels on that previously.
Floor labels, and we were changing them every couple of weeks.
Okay.
Because the nature of the workshop is a lot of things get dragged across the floor.
Sure.
And these labels, they don't last.
Yeah.
So we decided instead of wasting time, motion, and material, because it's more tape, we'll make it a future-proof permanent solution.
Brilliant. So an improvement on an improvement, and you future-proofed it so that they can be removed easily if required. Yeah. That's fantastic. So we've it here for the 4 different kind of trolleys or machines. So this one is for the tow trolley, and this one is for consumables. Fantastic, love it, great improvement. Thank you. Thanks a million.
Bye.
It's amazing.
That's Mike. He operates our laser cutting machine. And so I don't know if you got, I think the start might have played a bit earlier. They were replacing floor labels to define the location. But what they realized, and I didn't even know they did this until I saw it, and that's what I love about it. They took the initiative and they went, okay, we're doing this time and time again. It's not really working. Let's come up with a better way. And this is Sean. He only joined us at the start of the year. And I'd like you to hear what he talks about here.
I came up with a small idea here. Last week we had another project and we couldn't fit the QR codes on any area of the project. So I came up with found a bit of scrap HPL, bracketed onto it. Simple idea, and it's as easy to stand back and do.
Brilliant, Sean. And that now allows us to have that on the product so that our customer can scan and see if they want the details.
Correct.
Brilliant. Thanks. Fantastic improvement. Yeah. So Sean has come a long way. And I'm sure you see that with a lot of your own teams. You know, when you first tap someone on the shoulder to stand up and do a morning meeting, you know, it's often people's worst nightmare. But when you see them grow, I think there's nothing better. When you see them present and you see them do it another time and another time, I think that is the best feeling in the world. So for me, it goes back to this. It's very important that we get the right people on our bus. And this is not an easy thing to do. I'm sure you've all had this. So we've started to try and be very, very particular about how we hire. And we've learned actually a little bit from some of you. I've learned from Phil, I've learned from Toyota, how they actually try to get the people that won't work, not even to apply, which kind of goes, again, counterintuitive to everything we do. So we've worked really, really hard, and because we don't want to really get them in the door if they're not going to work out. But it's not easy to do that. So for the first time, again, I took courage from Phil here. I actually, when I put up my last advert, asked people to apply via video. And it is amazing how few people can follow a process. But today, I have one guy who's starting back in Ireland, and he put up a video, and he put up your book, Paul, and he put up Ryan's book as part of the video, and I thought, wow, he's going to be amazing. So that's just part of it. But it goes back to us for very much, when we're hiring now, we ask ourselves, what's the problem we're trying to solve? And then we ask of the person, do they align with where we're going? And we try to make it very, very clear to them what our behaviours are, what our vision is, and what the expectations will be. Because if they don't have that discipline, or if they're possibly uncomfortable with growth and they're not of a curious mindset, then it's going to be a resounding no. Because at the end of the day, for me, the only way I see to build and scale ATC is with our culture. So it's culture over compromise. Not taking a shortcut because I don't have a marketing person right now, but staying for the long haul to wait and get that right person. I have learned so much of the last few months as I've stuck my head back under the bonnet when people go. You start to see so many opportunities again. So for me, this is what it all comes down to. And we are only starting, and there is so much more to do. And I'll be picking a few of your brains and Pablo's. This unevenness thing is really my next biggest challenge. But this is where I always start. People first, behaviours always, and daily better. Just keep improving. And just finally then, as I say, one seat at a time, keep building your teams, but make sure they're the right people for your bus. Thank you.
Marie, keep the microphone. Keep the microphone because I have a question, maybe other people. I'm curious, you said that, you were maybe, it was you that kept the change from happening, and you're an owner and someone who starts a company. How were you afraid why were you afraid to make the change when you're an owner and you're already a leader, somebody who takes risk? What were you afraid of?
I should qualify. My father set up the business back in 1993, and I came back to Ireland in 2008, and then took over in 2010. And because it's an engineering business, and I'm not an engineer, I think that there was something in my psyche that kind of, I don't know, maybe, So I think with reflection, that's it. But the really interesting thing, Paul, that I see now is if I'm my authentic self, and if I just dare to ask the silliest question, I'll say, guys, this might be a crazy question or a stupid question. And I just come out with something. And it's surprising how you get to a solution by just making everyone feel there's no such thing as a silly question.
Couldn't agree more. I'm famous for asking stupid questions. I just ask them all the time because I don't know. I don't know. Just stand up when you don't know. Just say something. Beautiful. Good advice. Great job. Any other questions?
Gaston from Argentina. Thank you. Thank you very much. My question is, when you started with the language and the behavior, was it a quick thing to put together? Was it long? Was it changing? Or once you said, okay, this is the behavior, it won't change?
So that version of the behaviors that you saw there is our second version. So I'm after the one that Ryan showed is the old version. And at the start, so there's a little bit of a story. I had an operations manager, and about 2 weeks, my mother passed last October. And the reason I say that, because it goes back to the point, we are all just passing through, and it's about what we leave behind. But about 2 weeks after that she passed, he told me he was moving on. Now, I had been in discussions with him about potentially moving into my position in the next couple of years and all of that. And it was my wake-up call. And in many respects, I went, because I loved the guy in the sense of he was brilliant. And I thought he was there for the long term. But he had to do what was right for him, which was go more into coaching, which I totally understand now. But I made a commitment to myself at that point in time. I thought, okay, I want to do lots of travel. I love hiking too. And so I want to put a plan in place. And now I have to get serious. What is my exit strategy over the next 5 to 7 years? And I have to work backwards. So for me, it all became really crystal clear, and there was now an urgency to start to move things. So I re-looked at everything and went, right, what's important? So I've been working an awful lot on our processes, whether it's hiring, whether what does the leader look like at A2C, and the behaviours piece. But to your point about, maybe the routines and language, there's never a straight line in this journey. There's days you think you're making progress, and then there's days you feel like, you're leaving a voice note for Paul, which I know I did when Martin left, and I was like, what am I doing, or how do I do this? But it goes back to there's 2% that get this, and that's why it's really important to have those right people, as Phil said it too, by your side, whether it's in your business or your personal life. I hope that answers.
Very good.
Here, one question. Federico from Buenos Aires, Argentina. Thank you, Mary, for sharing your experience with us. My question, also adding to the question before about behaviors, do you repeat it? Do you read it together as a group in the morning meetings every day, once a week? And what's your strategy to not that doesn't become monotonous and just a process that is not really felt by the people? Because I did it once a week, and then I realized it was no more lively, and I had to change it. So this question is for you.
So it up until recently, you have each of the 7 behaviours as one of our daily morning meeting slides. And what we encourage our team to do, whoever's leading the meeting, when they're picking their learning video, if it could be around excellence or teamwork. There's one guy, he's big into rugby, so it's often around, excellence. So we try to get them to relate what they're showing to one of the behaviours. But what we've said very recently is, if you're not going to talk to the behaviours, don't show them, because it's very easy for things to get monotonous or become wallpaper, and that is the challenge. So we try to make it relevant.
Thank you.
Abraham from New Zealand. Firstly, I just want to say thank you. I've worked in the engineering industry for a long time. If you don't have the most joy from any leader I've seen, when you talk about your team, it's absolutely fantastic. My question was around your behavioural standards. Is that something that you and your leadership team came up with, or was your team a part of that process, deciding what kind of business did they want to work in, and how did the implementation go when you first brought that up?
So, to be honest, no, they weren't part. It was the senior leadership team. It was actually myself and Martin that came up with it. Because what we were doing, we were really searching for, this was before 2-second lean, when we got our first set of behaviours. We were searching for a way to engage people. I was really trying to find something that would work. And I think he had been involved in some lean network, and someone was going for Shingo, and behaviours are a big part of that, which I didn't know at the time. So we came up with it, and we then used it as a framework for our sit-downs with our team. So when we sit down with our team every couple of months to discuss, job knowledge, quality, safety, the behaviours come into each of those. And 3S now and total ownership, all of those play a part. So we try to relate them back to each of the behaviours, and so the team is very familiar around that. But I suppose the important point is, our team, before they come to that meeting individually, they rate themselves, and then it just opens a conversation, because again, it's all back to how do we grow them. It's not about what's negative. It's just, how can we help you to grow? If you feel, or we feel, that you need to focus a little bit more on the teamwork side, So I hope that answers it.
So, Abe, let me just say this. At BASCAP, one of our behaviors is we want people to call out when other people help them or come up with good ideas. So let's say Max makes an improvement. He says, I made this improvement, but Marie helped me do this. That is very important language in our culture, that you're always supporting the people that helped you. You always say this. Whenever I hear that word in the improvement videos, because I watch every improvement video that happens in my company, and I comment on every one, I will say, Max, that's a great improvement, but even better that you called out Marie for helping you. Excellent job. You see, the behavior is supported, so you're acknowledging the right behavior when it's done continuously from the top.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Paul. And just one other quick question. You mentioned that your operations director was rather hesitant to 2-second lean. Did you start implementing when he was still there? And if so, how did you navigate that significant hesitancy?
So we did. We started the morning meetings. He was there. And in fairness, as part of the senior leadership team, he had no problem doing any of this. It really was me. So he jumped on board once I made the decision. So, again, back to the leader.
Awesome, thank you.
Hi, Giorgio from the US. I have a question. I mean, one of the things that I've noticed about lean in general is that it's very kind of male dominated. How do you think that women approach lean differently than men? And what are some of the ways that we can most of my leadership team is women. And so how do we kind of incorporate that, some of the things that women do much better than men, and sort of vice versa? What are your thoughts about that?
I think that's one I need to reflect on. I'm not sure why there aren't more women in lean that we're aware of, at least 2-second lean, because it makes so much sense to me. I think it's just a lot of them don't know it's there, and typically manufacturing is probably more male oriented. So I think honestly it would suit them if they knew it was there. So I think it's more an awareness. And it's just getting the word out there that it can be done, and that it's not just manufacturing. It's, service industry, as you're going to talk to us about remote working. It's so many different, it applies everywhere. Because at the end of the day, a lot of it is common sense. And I would say, if you're running a business and you're a mom, you've a lot to manage. So there's a lot that will resonate there. But I think probably our job is just to make it more, broadcast it more, and create that awareness.
I'm thinking of CD Matters and Allison, and she rose to the top in that company. I think that Ryan, I can only speak for my company too, but I think that Ryan saw that she was interested in it, and he maybe deliberately elevated her to be in a prominent leadership role, and she just moved up into it. So my thought is, you find somebody who has some inkling towards it, and you elevate them into a leadership role to set that example. I know that we have many women in my company that are incredible at it, and I go out of my way to say, Jamie, great job. Andrea, great job. Simone, she's just amazing. The improvements are nonstop from her. And when they make an improvement, I make sure I'm right there cheering them on, elevating them.
I just wanted to add to that. So in North Carolina, our licensed tag plant contains only women inmates. And while they have a male plant manager, the leaders that were helping with the implementation were female supervisors. We soon found that the females embraced 2-second lean faster than any of the men. And their engagement and encouragement, every segment was full of cheers and claps. And they did it as a team. They would never lead alone. They would always choose a partner to grab and incorporate more people. And they actually standardized the way they would sign up for a meeting. They did things that I hadn't thought about. And so it became a competition with the men that, hey, these women, they're making you look bad. So they embraced it so much faster than the men did, and they were so more willing and open to improve the process itself as they went along.
Great, Brandon.
That's brilliant.
Any other comments? Okay, Marie, thank you.